storm, 0 degrees. Wait, you can't manage this, can't break this, boy, I'm funded. Gotta keep my distance when you not 100. Don't the same ones say they love you, they funny. You can't match my energy, and yeah, you know it. Way too cold, yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Way too cold, yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Way too cold, yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Yes, I meant it, yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Yeah, I'm killing it, I'm the realest. Ain't gotta say, gotta know you feel it. My flow got a code, sick as the illest. I know that I'm great and they about to witness me. Going in, I went way up, about to go again. You see me on the telly, then you tell a friend. Cause you know I'm about to rain, it'll never end. Cause fat cat, big dreams, big goals, never settle. Gotta keep on going on. You say you got it, and I'm Red Bull. I got the wings and I ain't coming down. No. I keep it straight, every line is so intentional. This is your moment to let it go. You know that I'm into it, I'm way too cold. Too cold. You can't manage this, can't break this, boy, I'm funded. Gotta keep my distance when you not 100. Don't the same ones say they love you, they funny. You can't match my energy, and yeah, you know it. Way too cold, yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Way too cold, yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Way too cold, yeah, man, I'm way too cold. Yes, I meant it, yeah, man, I'm way too cold.
Our Endless Summer event is your savings paradise with outstanding offers at Capital Ford in Santa Fe. Like a new Ford F-150 STX, it's a summer buy for $699 a month plus 4.9% APR financing for 72 months. Or get summer savings on a new 2025 Ford Bronco with 0% APR for 48 months. Your summer of savings is right here, right now, during our Endless Summer event, going on now at Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
Hey, welcome back to another live episode of the Pit Press Live. My name is Eric Moulton, your host. Tonight, I am joined by the one and only Mr. Ed Nunez, voice of the Western New Mexico Mustangs and a Lobo fan since 1970. Ed, how you feeling?
You know what's a great weekend. It was a great atmosphere out there at University Stadium. And, you know, usually I sit in the press box with Ryan and, my son sometimes. Sometimes you're there. A lot of times you're on the field. But, you know, I decided to take it in from the stands. And I got to tell you, it's one of my few weekends off from Western. And this is a game that I wanted to see. And I got to say that, you know, it's great sitting up in the press box. But sitting in the stands and taking in the atmosphere, and we have a guest here in a minute to talk about that, was, you know, I forgot what it's like to be in the stands and have a full house as we did many years ago. We had talked about that. Would the fans come back? They came back a lot sooner than I thought. And man, 72-degree day, a little breezy, but not hot. The sun wasn't beating down on you. And New Mexico won. So a great day. And like I said, go down to Lobo Louis Lane. You know, and it was a true college football atmosphere. It really was. And that's one that we haven't, I haven't been a part of in a long time. I've been up watching games, but I had a lot more fun with my wife sitting in the stands and watching the Lobos go to 3-1. And I don't know that anybody would have thought that before the year started. You know, I think we were all kind of like, we don't know what the Lobos have. And, they're halfway home to a bowl game, and they have some things to clean up for sure from Saturday. But, hey, anytime you know what, Eric, anytime you beat the Aggies, man, it's a good day. I say it's always, what did Ice-T say? Today was a good day, man. You know, so it was a good day for the Lobos, and one that my wife and I really enjoyed being together and being a part of.
Oh man, it was a good day. And I don't think a lot of people understand that, right? Like from our perspective, what we get to do, you and I are both fans, but you look at like Ryan, Greg, some of these other guys that are more in the press box and more covering it from like a objective perspective. you can't cheer in the press box, and it's hard, man. Like going to the pit and not being able to cheer, or even sitting baseline and shooting photos or getting some video of the game. It's a little bit different, man. You're rooting for the Lobos inside, but you can't really celebrate it, man. But it was a sellout, first time since 2007. I was able to take my family to the Idaho State game, which was cool, be a part of the action. But what was the crowd like? And I'm curious from where your seats were. How was it getting in and around the stadium? I had heard or read just on Twitter that it was kind of a mixed bag of, there were some good things, but there were some bad things. And I don't know if University Stadium is kind of designed to hold that every Saturday in the fall. But what was the atmosphere like?
That's a great question, because we got there early. I'm a member of the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame board, and we were having a little get together. So my wife and I left around, I think 11:30, around 11:45. So we got there a little bit early. So we didn't have, we parked in the media parking lot. We didn't have too much of trouble getting in. But I had said this on our show on Saturday with Ryan Tamori. The game management had to have a great game too. They needed to have, where the concessions, and you're going to find lines in any stadium with that kind of fan base. There's long lines, but I think what happened, at least on our side, the west side of the stadium, some bathrooms went down. The men's restroom at halftime, it was about 10, 15 minutes, to get in the restroom at halftime. And they had a clog, and Fernando Lobo wrote about it online, tweeted it out. Somebody told him that. And Fernando Lobo, to his credit, answered, said, we've got a clog. We're looking at it. We're trying to take care of it. It just took a while, man. You mentioned that. Michael Scarlett and I talked about it earlier today. UNM, University Stadium, is not designed, you're right, to hold that kind of back in the day, they made it happen, but it's an aging stadium that needs a lot of work. And, we'll talk about that with Michael later, because, there's a lot of things. Do you build a new one? And you got to keep winning. No one's going to give you got to go to the legislature. We had Will Weber on Saturday, and you have to have a lobbying team to get the money first. And, of course you have to keep winning, but it was just good to see that stadium full, but there was some glitches. The crowd was unbelievable, Eric. It really was. And it was good to see the sea of red that we had out there. It'd been many years since I'd been on the concourse it was at halftime. It's shoulder to shoulder, man. You're not moving very much and got to wait. And, but I didn't mind that. I've been to, AT&T Stadium. I was at the Charger Stadium a couple of years ago watching Dallas play. I've been to games where, there's a lot of people there. So I enjoyed it. And again, New Mexico beating New Mexico State, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into it a little bit more, but before, I don't want to keep our guest waiting. He's been sitting backstage for like the last couple of minutes, so let's bring him on. Joining us tonight, live from his home in Albuquerque, New Mexico, former Lobo wide receiver, played for the Lobos back in 2007 to 2011, Mr. Michael Scarlett. Sir,
Hey,
thank you for coming on the Pit Press. How are you?
doing, guys? Doing well. I'm doing really well after this weekend's win, and seeing all the fans out there, man. It was great to see. I haven't seen it as a life after football as a fan. So, been going to a lot of home games since for 14 years now, and I've never seen it like that. So, it's exciting to see for the state of New Mexico and for those recruits that we had out there in the field.
Yeah, Ed, I'll hand it over to you.
Michael, you and I had a good talk about it today, and you played for New Mexico 2007 to 2011. You played 2 years for Coach Long and a couple years for Mike Loxley. And back in the day when Coach Long was here, we had big crowds.
Yep.
I had to say this. I wondered, Bob Davie, and we had Lamar Jordan on last week, and you saw it. And that team, Lamar was a great interview, man. We got to get him. That guy was so gregarious that I was thinking, because he laughs and smiles. He's got that personality. He loves football, man, like you do. That guy's got a true love for the game. There's a coach in there somewhere. There really is. Yeah. But when he was talking about that team, I thought, they got 22,000 with that team. Right. Those dudes. When he talked about it, he said, "Hey," he said, "Jarrell Presley, you go for 60. Darryl, you go for 70. Terrion Gibson, you go for it's your turn.
Casey Carrier.
What's that? Yeah,
Casey Carrier as well.
Yeah. They Owens. They just had a lot of speed, and it was a very good team. But again, I was the one saying they haven't really drawn a lot of fans since then.
Yeah.
And so I think, you saw a lot of alumni out there. You were part of the tailgate on the east side, man. I didn't get a chance to go by, but tell me, I was telling Eric, it was a true college football atmosphere, man. We hadn't seen it in a while, and one that I drank it up, every bit of it, man. I did. I saw a ton of people. I couldn't walk 5 minutes. I saw a lot of people I hadn't seen in years. But tell us about what you saw out there, along with some of the alumni that were out there for the game on Saturday.
Yeah, actually, so before, like I said, we've been going to all these home games for 14 years now. And typically, if it was a 2:00 kickoff, we would try to get there early, right, before this year. And you would zoom right into the E slot right away, right? So actually, I didn't make it over to the E slot this weekend just because we got there at 8:30, thinking that we'd have some time to get in there. And we were creeping up to the entrance of the E slot, and we got told that it's sold out. You got to go somewhere else. So I ended up pivoting to the Rio lot where we normally tailgate, and got a good spot. But as a fan, I can definitely see the difference of game day, the game day atmosphere for the fan, because cars were lined up, people were everywhere, right? Like it's not normal. Which for me, growing up, going to games since when they had the grass hills in the corner of the north end zone. Hell, they built the north end zone. They completed that when I was in like 5th grade. So I remember going to that first game. So I've seen the crowds before being a UNM football player, and so it's exciting to see that now. I know Coach Eck, he's a great guy, man. I went to go introduce myself to him when he got introduced at a basketball game in the alumni club, and everything he told me is everything he did day one. So I think the difference between him and Bob Davie, and no disrespect to Coach Davie, is Jason really cares about the community. He cares about getting in there. And, doing my research before he came over, I looked at his Instagram and his Twitter and stuff, and he's doing the same things that he was doing there, right? Like encouraging the fans to go to the games, talking to the recruits. So he's very knowledgeable of how social media can help you. It's very powerful, but it can also hurt you as well. But he's very knowledgeable of that, and he's out there with his family. So as a New Mexican, you want to see your coach go to, the state fair and go to these local things. And, he's got kids in public school out here. And so that's a whole nother story there. But as where we're at 3-1, I think we couldn't have wrote it any better, right? I think he was planning on success. I think a lot of coaches do come into the season with their goals. But for us as Lobo fan, we've had to deal with 3 head coaches in the last few seasons. So it's kind of hard for us to kind of give a guy a chance, right? But winning does solve everything. And, Coach Eck and staff have been nothing but, doors open to the alumni. I can't say that for some other coaches in the past. But at the same time, it's a revitalizing deal for the community, for myself, for the recruits, for the current players, for everybody on campus. I'm interested to see, especially with, the celebrities that showed up at the game, John Jones, Holly Holmes, and I Show Speed, probably the most popular guy on the internet, showing up at a game. I'm interested to see what the attendance numbers look like as far as for next year's student class and things of that nature. But we got to keep winning. 34,000 people in the stadium, 37,000 people in the stadium. I haven't seen that since I was a freshman when I was on the field. So it's exciting.
It's kind of funny because Ned James and I are older, man, and he's asking me who in the heck is I Show Speed, because we don't know him. We don't know him, man. But he's got a huge following on Instagram and things like that. And of course, everyone
I barely know who he is because my daughter's 10. So she's like, did you see him? I was like, for a second, but
yeah. Then of course, I think having Holly Holm and John Bones Jones out there was a great move by the marketing department here. But I think one of the things that you said was very, very telling. Now, you and I talked a little bit today, and Bob Davie, look, he's a great, when he came from Texas or Notre Dame, I remember, they hired him. And I remember thinking to myself, hey, man, this guy was 35-25 at Notre Dame. He should be great here. I remember thinking that when I read the paper. But Bob Davie, look, no disrespect. He was not a community guy. In fact, he lived in Scottsdale during the off season. He can live wherever he wants, man, right? Yeah. That's what he wanted to do. Davie and we Danny wanted to be here, okay? Coach Gonzalez wanted to be here, went to Valley High School, played at UNM. Now, I think COVID killed his program.
COVID definitely killed
it, right? It killed him.
killed the
Yeah.
buzz and kills the vibe because they didn't play a game here. Weird situation. The guys are living in Vegas for a couple months. And, you know, we stayed at the hotel they stayed at when I was playing out in Vegas. It's nice, but it's not home, right? Like you're away from your family. You're dealing with COVID. You don't have any fans at the game. And that killed the momentum of bringing him in and having a real true homecoming. So Danny was already behind the 8 ball, and it, you know, but it's a business, and he understands that, and you know, couldn't ask. He left it in a better place than what he found as far as like after the COVID situation. Like I don't know how you try to get fans to buy season tickets after what they had to go through during that COVID season.
You look at it, Mike, and you think about it. Okay, so Rocky was here, and you know, Paul Krebs wanted to run him off, right? He said we're going to bring in Loxley, and he's going to add another digit to the scoreboard. That was one of the worst hires we ever had here by far. Now, Coach Loxley, to his credit, went on somewhere else and succeeded. He's been at Maryland. He wasn't West Coast. He's an East Coast dude, man. He was. You know, nothing against him, but I remember. One of the things, B.R. Holbrook was a quarterback then, and Coach Loxley moved away from the strength coach. You know, he wanted his guys to be bend and flexible, and almost got B.R. Holbrook killed, man. I remember that.
I hosted BR, actually. We were both skinny guys coming in. We need that weight room. But no, with Coach Locks, like he's been nothing but great. I know we didn't actually put points up on the board, which stinks because I played wide receiver. So for me to hear that, like I was super excited. The offense was there. The guys he brought over on the staff, though, I don't think a lot of people know this, but we had, you know, T. Martin was a quarterbacks coach who won a championship at Tennessee in '98. He's got a statue outside of Neyland, so he knows ball. One of my GAs for receiver was Aaron Moorhead. He's the Philadelphia Eagles receivers coach right now. And, you know, you go down the line, Gerald Dickey was an offensive coordinator for us. He ended up being the offensive coordinator at Texas Tech not too long ago, or not Texas Tech, Texas A&M. And, you know, you go down the line, like he had some coaches and brought some guys in. You know, East Coast is different, right? We're in a landlocked state. I remember talking to a recruit from back east, and he's like, yeah, where's the ocean? And I'm like, we're in a landlocked state, brother. We got the Elephant Butte and the Cochiti, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like it was a different era of ball, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of like that weird transition. I was talking to Victor James about this over the weekend. He flew in from California for the game, and I'm like, the whole like NIL, all this stuff that's going on right now, it totally missed like that 5-year gap of us, you know, kind of capitalizing on that. But the game has changed as well. So Loxley's now doing his thing at Maryland. I mean, he's got the same guys that he recruited pretty much in his backyard there in the DMV area. He's got a freshman quarterback doing his thing, and I think they're undefeated, right? They might have lost one game. I'm not too sure. But Danny, then what was it? It
was Davey,
Locks, and then Bob Davey,
and then Danny,
Mm-hmm.
and then Bronco, and then Eck. Yeah.
It's hard, right? I think today's game, though, too, with the transfer portal and the NIL thing, that changes the game completely, right? So I think Eck brought a lot of guys over from his last team for the most part, but he brought in some good heavy pieces to kind of help get us where we are today. And I think for me, why I committed to UNM was seeing these sold out games in my high school, right? My recruiting days, and going to my game. I think it was a state game my junior year that I went to for a visit, right? That place was jamming. I think there was like 44,000 people in there somehow. I don't know where they were sitting or standing, but that's the day really I was like, you know, I'm going to stay home and play here because your family's out there, your friends are out there. Well, at the time it was just ESPN. We didn't have, you know, ESPN Plus. Like the games were getting televised, and guys were winning. We were winning. We were going bowl eligible every year. So Rocky, I committed to him. I was the first New Mexico guy to commit to, actually the first guy in my class to commit in '07. So I really believed in what the program had offered. And then Marcus Smith and Travis Brown were two receivers that I followed in my high school career and ended up being on the team and sat in the same room with those guys for a year as I redshirted. And, you know, I got to practice against Glover Quinn and DeAndre Wright, two NFL guys, and Glover Quinn was a Pro Bowl safety in the league. And so that builds up a lot of confidence as young players. So when you see all these guys that are going to the league year in and year out, talking Rocky Long days now, consistently getting drafted and getting picked up, why not stay home, right? So I'm glad that everything's coming back for the state and for the school, because we're the only show in town. You know what I mean? And I wish that people would really, really, pour their heart and soul into it. I'm always going out when I'm out in the town. I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, hey, you guys going to the game over the weekend? Like, what game? Right? Like, it should be like any other town. You go, I'm sure you go any other school in our conference, probably not Vegas or San Jose State, but you go to CSU, right? They probably know when the game is. Air Force, and you go down the line. Of course, Boise State, they probably know. You can ask any fan, and they're going to be there, right? So, I don't see why we're not at the top of the heap, right? We should be. And it comes down to resource. It comes down to support from the state. I hope that we do continue to win to help get some more funds. And just to talk about the stadium stuff. So we were staying in the Rio lot, which is west of the Isotopes, and it's north of the pit. It was about a mile and a half walk, which is fine with me. Everybody, this is the first time I actually had to like walk like this because there was so many people walking to the game. And so that buzz and that excitement was back. I was like, man, if I was on my visit, where do I sign, right? Because everybody's wearing red. There was a lot of red in there. I didn't really see too much of that other color in the stands. And we typically sit in section 3 underneath, like there's like a couple steps up, and then you can go grab some chips or, grab some food. Like the first home game, you can go up there whenever you want, walk straight to the front and get your food and come back down. This game, I like peeked up there and I'm like, no, the line was like wrapping all the way down. People everywhere. Didn't even want to move because it's just not built for what we need, right? I think it was built in the 60s. When was this stadium built?
Yeah, 66, 67.
Way out of date,
Yeah.
And so if we can get the support there, I think you'd even have more fans come out because, and you guys know this as New Mexicans, whenever we get something new, everybody wants to go, right? Everybody's going to wait in line for In-N-Out Burger for 5 hours when that opens up. So let's get a stadium going and get some wins in there.
Mike, go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say there's definitely the idea of it, right? Like, I think they definitely want to do that. And I think that's a goal of X. I think that's a goal of Lobo's. It's being talked about. I'm sure he's lobbying for the university. He's bringing New Mexico State up to Santa Fe with him. They're lobbying for more money for those big capital projects, right? But I
mean, they don't even have. I don't even know if they have visitor locker rooms down there at State. They used to put a tent up, like a Garcia tent, and we'd have to go change the portable tent that they put up.
They just redid them. I think locker rooms.
They redid the visitors too.
They made it. I don't know about the visitors. Did you hear about the visitors?
They did a new home locker room, but yeah, they
put not the visitors
outside, man. But sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're good. I think everyone wants a new stadium, right? How are they going to fund it? And you have to talk about like we're starting to see them win now. They're 3-1. The buzz is back. You just talked about it. All the local recruits from the state of New Mexico were at the game. They were all on the field taking selfies. They were all happy and proud to be there. They were all wearing their Lobo gear, and it's a good thing. It's a program that's deep rooted in this community. But you talk about that whole ideology of what are you doing this Saturday? It's like, no, there's no question. I'm going to the game.
Right.
I think that needs to come back, and that's what they're working on. But yeah, they're having success now. But in order for them to actually make that big giant investment in redoing the stadium, they have to know for sure that it's sustainable and that's going to pay for itself.
Well, right. I think a lot of people forget that like home field advantage is a real thing, right? Like
it's a huge
having
thing,
a loud crowd on 3rd and short, and you get them to jump. It's 5 yards. It's 3rd and 7 now, right? Like from that to having the recruits on the field and come out, having those guys come out of the tunnel. Let's back up. The team, when the team comes out and they see all these people in the stands, a lot of people don't realize, like, when they see that, they're juiced. Sorry,
you're good.
But people don't realize, like, you get more energy when you see a full packed house. So it's like that we have that check. We could check that box, right? Because I know we can do it. Now we can do it, right? I think Fernando Lobo has done a great job just kind of communicating. All right, we're expecting a large crowd. This is where you can park. These are the things that you can do and expect. And you still have people complaining, man. I think it's funny that we're doing well. We're winning. We're filling the place, and now we have more people that are just Debbie Downers about it, right? Like it's not perfect, And you go anywhere in the country. I've been to Oklahoma. Their games are like 4 times as big, right? People don't complain. They'll walk 5 miles to get to the game, right? And you go any other school in the country, people don't care. They don't care how far they got to go because they know they're going to go sit. They got their seat. They're going to sit down and watch a good product on the field. And I think that's what we have something to stand on, especially Coach Eck. I mean, the guy really, he had like a magic wand or something because a 3-1 start, it's a pretty damn good start. I mean, I think a lot of people probably pinned us at 2-2, right? Not winning the first 2 games against Michigan, UCLA. But having that UCLA win in a bye week, I think it helped us out tremendously because I think if you win that game and you play State the next week, you probably lose this game just because you're coming off a high of a crazy win, right? First Big Ten win in school history and all those things. So we forget that these are college kids, 18, 20, 22 years old, and they thrive on the energy. And Ed, you could attest to this. The energy was there from the kick to the end of the game when the clock said double zeros. And they brought the chili roaster out, man. That was cool.
Yeah. Well, I think you hit a lot of good points, Mike. And with Lovo and with Eck, I think they had a plan. And then even for Saturday, you want to break it down. There was a plan there in terms of directing traffic. They had lots designated. They had everything kind of communicated. They were running live streams on all their social media platforms, just kind of updating people in real time. Hey, the East lot is full. Make sure you kind of go down Cesar Chavez and you check this lot because you're going to get into the game a whole lot faster. That has never, ever been done before. There was some kind of plan. There was some execution to it. And, they do it at a much, he's done it at a much larger scale in UT.
For sure.
But it's nice to see that like there's a plan here. And I think this is kind of just scratching the surface with what's to come. And the plan on the field, Eck has definitely delivered. Like you said, waving his magic wand. But I do want to talk to you since you played ball, man. You know the X's and O's. I want to get your perspective of the on-field execution from Saturday. I think the one guy that stood out the most was probably Jack Lane and going for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. And Ed, you talked about this game on our pregame show where we thought UNM was going to run all over New Mexico State, right? UNM struggled to stop the run all year. And this was a complete opposite, man. New Mexico came out and stopped the run right away. So UNM had to change up his game plan, but Jack Lane delivered. Mike, I want to put you back on the spot, but what was your impression of quarterback Jack Lane?
You know what? I met Jack on his first official visit. The same week I met Coach Eck, he had a bunch of recruits out, invited me over to the stadium and got to meet him and his family. And the guy's poised, man. I watched the game when they went to Oregon last year, and he took it down to the wires, right? So he's very, he's good for us. He threw for 303 yards. I think that's the most he's thrown all season, right? I don't think he threw over 250 or something like that, but he threw 4 tutties. And it's good that we have him, right? Because we were relying on that run game for the first few games, and they put 9 in the box. So what are you supposed to do with 9 in the box? You got to throw it over the top. So with that being said, I think Coach Slice is just a excellent play caller, man. We can expect a couple trick plays a game, right? Yeah. Keep it exciting. And I think he understands it. And the guys that are playing, they love that, right? When you're prepping for the week, especially against a rival, and you got a trick play in there, a couple trick plays, and you're walking, maybe you got walkthroughs and it's in the script in the front half of the game, and that's all you're thinking about. Like, as a player, you love to play for an OC like that. So I think Jack had an excellent game. Obviously, it's a short week, so I would imagine that San Jose State's going to try to lock down the pass right? But then again, we got horses in the stable for running back. So I think whatever happens, this is a good coaching staff that makes adjustment at halftime, which we saw it over the weekend, right? We were down at half and we came out guns blazing. So a lot of games are won and lost by those halftime adjustments. So
Ed.
Mike, to your point about Jack Lane and the 48 of 67, 71%, 610 yards, 6 TDs, no picks in his last 3 games. It's pretty efficient, man. Got this from Ned James, very good friend of mine. Jack Lane is better than I thought as a leader. The team is really tough because they practice so hard. That's why they play so well. And Ned, I call him the football guru, man. That guy talks football. You just listen. That guy knows his stuff. And I thought that was good conversation there about what he said about Jack Lane. If you look at the second half, Mike, the Lobos outscored New Mexico State 24-3, outgained them 268-146. And, the Aggies took advantage of the muff punt. They screwed, they took advantage of Scott Trey Humphrey's fumble. And, they had a trick play of their own. Give them credit. But I thought New Mexico definitely took over in the second half. I think one of the things you mentioned, Keyshawn James, newbie, the crowd noise had him. They sacked the Aggies 9 times. That's a record for UNM. That had him so hyped he jumped off sides, I think, 3 times.
Yeah.
But I think that kid can bend and flex at the defensive end position. He gets low. He's got the speed to get around the edge. I think they're only going to get better there. Their defense. We'll talk a little bit about. Ned was very complimentary of middle linebacker Jackson Eck after the game, calling the signals and and setting the defensive tone. He's a leader. He's a coach's son. You expect that, right? And tell us what your opinion is about Jackson Eck, the linebacker.
He's cool, man. Very nice guy, man. So a guy that I played with, Carmen Messina, was in town. Baby Urlacher. Similar guys, right? Like they're just guys that you can depend on. Obviously, the captain of this team, one of the captains, and his it's cool. He's like an extra coach on the field for sure. Being the coach's son, he's getting the front 7 aligned, and I think State had 15 rushing yards. I mean, that's counting the sacks, right? So really good lockdown there. I think on defense in the back 4 for the DBs and stuff. They're getting better every game too, and I think when we saw the Idaho State game, I was like, man, like if we could just get some pressure on this quarterback, because this guy was throwing pretty good against us, right? And so it looks like guys are starting to mesh, and guys are starting to feed off of each other, right? Everybody's doing their 1/11th, and everybody's having fun. I mean, when you're winning games, you're having fun, so it's easy, right? I've been on the opposite of that, where 1-11 seasons, where it's just like, when it rains, it pours, and every little thing can go wrong, and it does go wrong. So I think for us to have a little bit of luck on our side, I mean, turnovers are killer, right? The muff punt, I threw my hat because I'm like, what are we doing, right? What are we doing? But it happens. It happens in the league, and it happens at Pee Wee football, and it happens here at Division I level. So at all levels of the game, like these things happen. But I think as far as a collective, the team is very, very coachable, and penalties are low. I think this is a pretty high game for penalties for the
8
team.
for 55 on Saturday. 8 for 55.
Well, it's not really bad. I mean, 8 penalties are bad, but the yards and all that stuff, they add up. But this team is very, very disciplined, right? And it comes down to who? The head coach and the coaching staff. And so that all comes down, and the little things matter. So as the D line, though, we need that every week, man. And I think, again, when you're winning games and you're on a roll, and the energy's high, and the city's behind you, and the state's behind you, and the students are behind you, and alumni, and you guys, the fans. I mean, this team, one game at a time. But I told Jackson on Saturday after the game, I'm like, man, you guys did really well. And, he's like, one game at a time, that one game at a time mentality. And I like that, you know what I mean? Because when you're young and you're on fire, you could say, like, yeah, we're out here to win the whole thing, which probably behind closed doors they're saying, right? I mean, I would be like, hey, we can win it this year. And I think that's the other thing. The mentality of the team has changed, right? That championship behavior that Coach Eck preaches is really permeating through the team. And I think it's starting to permeate into the fans, because, before this, I wear Lobo stuff all the time. And, people, I remember going to school and seeing guys with like Notre Dame gear on, or, any USC gear on campus. And I would tell them flat out, like, why don't you just go there? Fighting for the school. So fighting for the brand. And, I bleed the cherry and silver through and through. And I'm glad that, I can really, I'm always proud, man, but I'm super proud now that things are going in the right direction for not only myself, but just to see the fans and these kids, these recruits that went out there weren't even born yet, right? A lot of them weren't even born yet when this stadium was, maybe they were, 1 years old, but not a lot of these people seen what that stadium can bring, right? What the magic it can bring for the team. And so I could finally stop posting old videos of our stuff, because we need to show the new Lobos and current Lobos, like, this place is special, and come here, you win, people will love you forever.
It's funny, when Dennis Franchione was here, he made it a rule: don't come in here to the locker room with any other hat except the Lobos. Don't come in here Miami, Notre Dame. Don't come in here. I still remember that. And that was good because you played for UNM.
Probably has some transfers wearing old gear from their other school. You probably see that, but yeah, it should be a definite no-no.
Mike, just one more question. I'll turn it back over to Eric. But you mentioned Coach Eck. And you and I talked about this today a little bit. Coach Mendenhall can coach the game. We're not right. He's a good coach. We know that, but he's not the most excitable dude. And you know what? That guy he doesn't want to talk to the media. He doesn't want to be in the community. You know what? Okay, that's fine.
Coordinator,
right? He wanted to coach. No, but you mentioned Coach Eck. My wife loves it when he gets up there and jumps. High fives. People have caught that, right? I think it was a perfect storm too. New Mexico State and UNM both 2-1, a perfect storm. The meeting here, 2:00, good start. Some people wanted it 7. The weather wasn't hot. It was a little rainy, but not bad. Just talk one more time about the difference. What an incredible difference. Michael, you couldn't have said that we'd be talking about possibly building a new stadium and possibly going to a bowl game this soon. I didn't know that we'd be talking about it this soon. Just talk again a little bit more about the difference that a man like Coach Eck can make on the football field and in the community.
Well, I think so. We talked about Danny when Danny got hired, right, during the COVID stuff, and towards the end there, I'm sure he was out in the community, right, doing all these things. But again, the social media presence is huge, especially in 2025. So before Eck came over, I've looked him up on Instagram, like, what's this guy about? I actually had a buddy, Mark. He was a coach on the staff here, and actually told me that Coach was coming. So I'm like, all right, let's check it out. And he had nothing but great things to say about Coach Eck. And but in those videos when he was at Idaho, he was just saying, like, hey, we got to fill up the Kibbe Dome. That's what their home stadium was called. And these things that he's doing now, right? But he was just on campus. I think for anybody that comes to New Mexico as an outsider, the best thing to do, especially a coach, is to go dive headfirst and put yourself in it, right? Last week they gave pizzas to the students, like the little things, man. It doesn't take that much time to go out there and go up to the main campus and shake hands and go to the hospitals and all these things that you can do. But I think it's just the transparency too. What you see on these interviews and on TV and stuff is what you get. It's the same guy. So as a recruit, I think the recruit should see that too and take what I'm saying is when you're getting recruited, a lot of these guys will put on a mask, right? And they'll tell you what you want to hear. Good. I don't think nowadays a lot of coaches don't really get after kids, but that's a whole nother story. But with Coach Eck, what you see is what you get. I think, I'd love to play for him if I had some eligibility. I would have ran through a brick wall for him. But with that being said, you have to deal with this other thing that might happen, right? Some other school comes knocking on his door, not thinking about it, but that's a possibility, right? This is a business. And for the most part, I think he's going to be here for a few years. And he's the real goal is to leave it how you left it, like Coach Pitino, right, with basketball. We all knew it was going to happen, but I'm jumping the gun here on this, but I think we just have to enjoy what we have right now with this current team. We had Devin Dampier last year. I don't think people appreciated him as much as we should have, and the rest of the guys on the team. But I think folks now are starting to realize, if we want to really become a big city, we got to support our teams, right? Like we do for basketball and volleyball and soccer and all these other sports that are doing really well. At the end of the day, winning, it solves everything. So you win, who knows, you win a Mountain West championship, who knows, you might get a stadium in a couple of years.
Yeah, and it's been since 1964 since the Lobos have won a conference championship. And but the excitement, Mike, you're out there with a lot of your alumni friends, my wife and I in the stands. And like I said, I love sitting in the press box. It's fun, but sitting in the stands and being able to celebrate and just cheer and be a fan. Sometimes I'm not a fan sometimes because I'm always in the booth calling a game.
Yeah, you're working.
So I don't, and even when I'm the voice at Western, I got to keep it right down the line. I can't be like, yeah, I can't do that. Can't do that. So it was fun to be a fan. It really was. Hug my wife and high five her when they scored. And sometimes I have to be able to do that too and be human, man, and go around and enjoy it all, soak up that atmosphere. And it was a lot of fun. Eric.
There are a few questions in the chat, Michael, that I wanted to show you. I know your boy Ben Wysong, he comes on the show every so often, and he likes to give our take. He wants to say what's up to you.
I had it closed off. Here we go. Got all the chat up here.
And then we got Michael Manzanata. Shout out to Scarlet.
Mikey.
And then we have a question from Ronnie Chavez for you, Mike. Scarlet had one career touchdown. Does remember that touchdown, and who was it against?
And I should have had multiple touchdowns, but yeah, I dealt with ACLs. So, I played a handful of games, but it was against Sam Houston State. We ended up going to overtime, and we lost that damn game. But it was a corner route in the north end zone. Caught it. That was good. That was good for me because I was coming off my second ACL. It was my senior year in front of my family and friends, and I got one. It's hard to get one, but in high school, I guess you don't take them for granted till you stop scoring them. But in high school, I scored a lot of those things. But yeah, I had one against Sam Houston State. I'll never forget. So.
Here's another comment by one of our listeners, Eric Markham. Lobo football is fun again. Good for us lifers. So many hard years we watched bad football makes this so sweet. Go Lobos. I'll leave you with this one last question, Mike. Now, you kind of alluded to it earlier, but what's your realistic expectation for this team this year? 3-1, coming down the stretch. I think the San Jose State game, they're a 2.5-point underdog right now, which
I don't know.
Depending on who you ask, you feel like they might actually have a shot to be the favorite in that one. But
I think they're getting.
Do you think a bowl game is something they can?
For sure. I was so the 07 team that I was on was the best team that I played on, but we won our first bowl game in I think 50 years or so against Nevada that year, which Colin Kaepernick was their quarterback, and our defense just played lights out. But New Mexico Bowl wouldn't be bad, right? And a lot of people badmouth New Mexico Bowl, but Jeff's done a great job there at the New Mexico Bowl. But bowl game for sure. So you got San Jose State at Boise State, Nevada here. I mean, that's a long. Hopefully, we can keep that energy up for the next home game. And then you got Utah State. I circled that one.
I think a lot of people have that one circled.
I don't think so. I don't even think we have a lot of, this sounds mean. We have a lot of casuals right now. So I don't think the casuals know that our old head coach is coming back to town. But I'm sure the media is going to eat that one up. I'm sure you guys are going to hype that one up. And then you go to Vegas, UNLV. I think all these games that we have, totally winnable. All of them. We're going to have a fighting chance.
Including Boise?
Hell yeah. Remember, like what year was that? That was Bob Davie when
2015.
won,
Yeah, 15.
and that was the greatest night in New Mexico sports history, actually, in my opinion. I
Mhm.
think,
Yeah, the Holly home
yeah.
was the
So,
same night. Yep.
but Boise State's not the
Well,
Boise State of old. Like, yeah, they got the logo, but you look past the logo and the blue turf, it's just another team. Like,
they
bring it.
don't bring
And
the
that's
same
where
punch
this
this year.
is the
Yeah.
mentality that this team has, and that's where the team's taking on the personality of their head coach, and right now that's Jason Eckstein, and so I think all these games are winnable. Why not? Any given Saturday, who cares? Your favorite, you're an underdog. Who cares? Went to the Rose Bowl and beat the crap out of UCLA, right? I mean, yeah, it's a terrible UCLA team, but there's a lot of 4 or 5-star recruits on that team too.
Right. Yeah, that's
But,
true.
so
Yep. There's some
at the end of
NFL
the day, you
prospects
strip
on that
away
team.
everybody's uniform and you go play in a white and a black shirt on the practice field. It's the same thing. Like, come on now, you play to win the game.
Yeah.
So I think these guys have a true shot, but at the same time, what Jackson told me, right? One week at a time, one game at a time, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, and I really don't think this team has put together a complete game yet either, right? Like I felt like that first half they came out a little flat, couldn't really execute, couldn't get the running game going, and they kind of figured it out at halftime, and they just really let it air out. And then that's when they took it over. Like halfway through that fourth quarter, they scored those 2 quick touchdowns. Like putting together a full game, this team is going to be really hard to beat for a school like Nevada, Colorado State, San Jose State. Man, they're right there. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Sad to say though, too, like there's 111 teams I was on. You go down like that, like it's like you can't stop it, right? Like the other team's scoring, or you're on offense and you fumble a football, or just bad things happen, right? The college football or just sports in general really rolls off of momentum, right? So I think for this game with the slow start in the first half was simply just because they came out to a sold out crowd, right? A lot of these guys haven't played in this game, which is 115th. I remember I was in the 100th game versus New Mexico State, and so I remember the magnitude of that game just because it was 100. But each one of these games are super. It's a Super Bowl for us. Like it's a big game. For me, I've seen since I was a kid, right? And I think another thing that the staff is doing well is they're doing well with keeping those traditions alive that we have in that locker room. But I honestly think that a lot of these guys that came over here weren't expected. I mean, who can expect a full crowd like that for this game, right? Like you said, a 3-1 start is it's magical. It's a magical season, right? And it's happening right in front of us. And I think a lot of people should go get their tickets now, because I've heard some folks pay $100 to get into this last weekend's game, which is insane. But that's almost cost of the whole season tickets, right? For what they were selling at the end of the year. So I love it. I love that it's back. I love that I can talk some trash to my friends and kind of stand on something. I mean, I was always standing on something, but now I feel like I'm 100 feet tall when, it's football season. I can't believe we're already almost halfway done with it. But yeah, this is a special team, and fans should stay glued to the TV and this weekend and another national game, right? So let's do it.
Ed.
No, I think that's about all I got for Mike. But Michael, I just can't thank you enough. I know you and I had talked about having you on, man, and I'm glad we got to talk today. I have all the respect for you and your alumni. You saw our interview with Lamar, and we want to get more guys on, man. More alumni that were out there. Ian, we've had Ian on, Mike Mahorick, Jared Baxter. We've had a bunch of guys on, man. Gerald Chestnut. We've had some really good alumni that.
I'll reach out to Carmen for you guys.
Yeah, we'd love to get them. We'd love to get them, man. We'd love to have them on. And I think, Eric and Ryan Tamari had said, Lobo football getting better can only help our coverage. And here we are, right in the middle of it, man. So it's only going to help the Pit Press. And, we love covering New Mexico athletics. That's what we do. And it doesn't get any better when you beat the Aggies, man. What does Ned say? Our little brothers from down south. Every time Ned says that, I crack up, man. Ned. Ned doesn't care who he offends. I love Ned. Ned's my guy. Ned's going to say what he's got to say. He doesn't care.
You know what's crazy about this? Real quick, I'll leave with this. I was down there, so where the away team comes out, right? We're all standing there. And one kid told me to F off or something. And then after the game, I saw him and we shook hands. It was like, I felt like I was getting ready to play, but it was just some weird chirping going on. But, that's what the rivalry is about, right? I had coaches in high school that went to state, and I'm like, they're like, where are you going? You're going to state? I'm like, absolutely not. Like, not going there. Man.
Hard no.
I took a visit to see Hal Mummy, man. I remember this like it was yesterday. So me and my dad went down there, and Hal had his towel on his lip, and I weighed like $165, soaking wet. He's like, yeah, you'll start here if you come here. You'll start right away. I'm like, yeah, okay. And so the next day we went to go see Rocky, and he's like, you're not going to start your first year. You'll redshirt, we'll put some pounds on you, and then you'll have an opportunity to start. I like that response a lot better. So that was my only interaction with going down to state and taking a visit. But yeah, it was a great weekend, man. I look forward to it. But I hope to see you guys around. Saw Ryan at the podium after the game, so that's how this kind of sparked up. But appreciate you guys.
Yeah, Mike, thanks a lot, man.
Yep, thanks
Appreciate you coming on. Everyone watching, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. My name is Eric Moulton, and you're watching The Pit Press.
Our endless summer event is your savings paradise with outstanding offers at Capital Ford in Santa Fe. Like a new Ford F-150 STX, it's a summer buy for $699 a month plus 4.9% APR financing for 72 months. Or get summer savings on a new 2025 Ford Bronco with 0% APR for 48 months. Your summer of savings is right here, right now, during our endless summer event, going on now at Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
All right. Welcome back to the Pit Press. Let me get this screen right. Ed, another good guest, man. Michael Scarlett, former UNM Lobo wide receiver, played for, did you say you played for Rocky for 2 seasons? Back 2011 to 2000 or 2007 to 2011. Man, I like talking to these old players. They all have a different perspective, but the one thing that I find common with all these guys is they have a ton of pride. They're proud to play for UNM. They have a lot of cool, unique stories, different experiences with the packed stadium, kind of being around different athletes from around the country, playing for different coaches, kind of the aura of what University Stadium brings. But I don't know, man. What did you think?
You know what? I think you're absolutely right. And then to see it come back. Well, they've been waiting. I think a lot of players, we've seen I feel the bad for Coach Gonzalez more than any coach about the COVID. You know, we had Coach Gonzalez on, Ryan and I talked to him on numerous occasions. They couldn't even lift weights heavier than 20 pounds. You can't build a program like that. They couldn't ship all the weights over there in Las Vegas. So I think I feel bad for him more than any Lobo coach because he wanted to be here. He was going to, probably stay here had things worked out. But Coach Eck is here, and Coach Mendenhall, he did 5-7 last year, a good football coach, but not that guy that's going to sell the program, doesn't want to be bothered with being in the community, just wants to coach football. I get it. But in this, this program needed to be sold. You needed to sell it in the community, and you needed to win. You need to win. And so far, so good. They've got some tests coming up on the schedule, but I thought, they shut the run down. The Aggies sold out on the run, and Jack Lane was, I'd mentioned I thought they'd take some shots up top with Keegan Johnson. They did. Mm-hmm. Five catches for 106. Sean Miller 4 for 80. Dorian Thomas 7 for 69. I love Dorian Thomas. That's one of my favorite players. That's a tough football player. They can put him in the slot. They line him up wide. Some screens for him. That guy will get some yards after the catch. He's tough. So I like. And Jack Lane is a game manager, like Ned said, but he showed Saturday he wasn't. He showed that he can throw it down the field. So they can sell out one way, but I think Jack Lane now with Keegan Johnson and that speed over the top is going to make people think twice about maybe loading the box.
Yeah, I would think Jack Lane's just kind of composure and being able to command this offense. He's not really trying to stretch it too far. He's not trying to be Superman out there. He's kind of running within the offense, kind of some of the options. But yeah, man, I think DT and Dorian Thomas is definitely a game changer. They're moving him all over the field. They're trying to get him the ball, right? Like I think in a lot of scenarios, they're trying to go to him being option one in the passing game. But you could just tell once he does get the ball in his plan, he's a playmaker, man. He's looking for the end zone. He high points the ball. He's physical. He's got a little bit of swag to his game too. It's just fun to see, man, right? Like they're starting to get some more confidence. And I feel like this offense is finally seeing a little rhythm hit, right? Like finding things that they're really good at. But I think depending on the games that we've seen them like against UCLA run the ball really well, right? Some explosiveness, some home run plays. And then you turn around and look at the New Mexico State game, they couldn't run the ball that well. So they kind of had to pivot their plan. They start throwing the ball a little bit more, finding some open seams, finding some open gaps in the zone. And they've just been able to maneuver through that without the turnovers, without the bad mistakes, without the penalties that we've been used to seeing this Lobo team make over the last couple of years. And I think a lot of that falls on Coach Slice, but I think a lot of it too falls on Jack Lane of just kind of understanding the defense, understanding the offense, but also understanding what the defense is giving him and being able to take advantage. Take the short under throws, not force anything downfield, audible to a run play if you need to. But this is starting to look like this team has a little bit more on the offensive weapon side than I think we've used to. And I was telling Michael Scarlett earlier, man, I don't think this team has fully hit their stride yet. I don't think they've played a complete game yet. I think they've kind of more of a second half team, right? They get real sluggish in the first half. They make some changes at half. And then you really see them start to pull away in the second half. Now, in this last game, if Humphrey doesn't fumble that ball and they don't get that pick up and score for New Mexico State, this is a much different game. I think UNM goes down on that drive and scores, and the gap widens. It's a little bit more of a blowout than what the score revealed, but I think a lot of good points, Ed.
I had said 38-17, so I was close. 38-20 it ends up being, but I think you're right. And I look at Jack Lane in the interviews, and the kid wears the eye black on the cheeks, man, and he's one of them all-American looking kids, and I love his leadership. And when Ned says that he thinks Lane is a better leader than he thought, again, I got all the respect. When Ned talks football, I just listen, man. That guy knows so much. Could coach probably still if he wanted to. I'm glad he's has that platform with JJ Buck on 96.3 and 770 KKOB. Ned's talents deserve that. They do. And I'm really glad that he's out there and telling people about what he knows best. Football, man. He knows the ins and outs of it, the moods of it. He goes to practice and observes and watches. And when I heard him talk about Jackson Eck on the radio after the game, I was like, man, wow. I wouldn't have never thought of that, what Ned said about Jackson Eck calling the signals, making sure everybody's lined up right on defense. And that's what a middle linebacker does. But Ned sees things that others don't. So, yeah, I thought it was great analysis that I listened to after the game. But I know there's some comments in there, one in particular, if you don't mind, Eric, about Ronnie Chavez had one. He asked a question about Western. I don't know if you can get to that.
We got a bunch of comments to get to. Let me look for that one. Oh, yeah, here we go. Ronnie Chavez. Before we start, Ed, what's up with Western, as in Western New Mexico, allowing 91 points this last weekend?
I'll tell you one thing, Nick did the game, and my wife and I came home and watched it, on Channel 26, and my son did a great job. It's tough to do games like that when, it's a blowout, but Western in successive weeks has allowed 69 to Highlands, 58 to West Texas A&M, 60 plus to Angelo State, now 91 to Central Washington. And, I really like the coach, Billy Hickman at Western, but they've had some tackling problems. They've had some injury problems. And I'm just going to say, from my point of view, this is my 6 years as the voice over there at Western. It's very tough for them to match up physically with those Lone Star Conference teams. I looked at the line of scrimmage, and that's, a lot of those teams have us by 20 or 30 pounds. That's no excuse for giving up 91. And Billy Hickman would be the first one to tell you that. And, it's tough to interview after the game. They told Nick on Saturday, no interview. They usually want us to interview win or lose, but it's hard, man. What do you say? It's hard to interview after that. But look, I'm hoping, they turn it around. That's, I'm the voice of that team. I want them to win. I'm not a Mustang, but when I'm down there, I do the best job I can for them. They deserve that. There's some purple and gold in me as far as, being the voice, and I want them to win. It's just been tough for the football team so far. So hopefully they'll turn it around.
Getting to some more comments, we got Game Pass Media, Chris Rodarte, the Pit Press, and then he's got another comment here. Coach is building this the right way and getting local talent. For those of you that don't know, Chris Rodarte, Game Pass Media, go follow him on Instagram, TikTok, obviously here on Facebook, but he actually shoots some photography and some video for us at two of the most recent games. So what you guys see in our socials is his in the making. So Chris, we appreciate you, man. We need to get you some gear soon, but thanks for tuning in this evening. Another comment here, Ed. Randolph runs Safter, say that right? Good direction, good enthusiasm, great effort, and big support from UNM alumni all the way from South
awesome.
Dakota. Reaching way out there. And then here's another new comment from a name I don't recognize. Craig Johnson, all teams that go 500 in the Big Ten should go to a bowl game. Yep. Here you go, Ed. I'm going to pose this question to you on this comment here. 505 Lupin. Am I dumb for feeling we have a legit shot against Boise State?
I don't, Boise State is, again, what Michael said, they've been on top of how many straight winning seasons now, 20 something, numerous bowl games, guys in the pros. They have a culture there. So we'll see. I'm going to hold my feelings on that right now. I'd love to see, of course, UNM win that game. I want to see how they do in successive weeks. And I'll hold my opinion until then. I would love them to beat Boise State, but right now Boise State is at another level. Let's be honest. And the UNM has ways to get there before they're considered that level. But I'd love to see UNM beat them, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say I was looking at their schedule. They're 3-1. They have a tough one this weekend, as in Boise State. They travel to number 21 Notre Dame, but they've got a pretty strong running attack, man. If this Lobo team's going to match up with them, they got to figure out how to stop the run game. Man, they've got Sire Gaines, who kind of filled in for Genty last year, Malik Sherrod, who transferred in from Fresno State, and then one of their surprise running backs in Dylan Riley. So they've kind of got like a three-headed monster, all explosive players, all big-time home run hitters if you just get them the ball. So I'm curious how they roll out and compete with what'd you call them, a blue blood in Notre Dame.
Yeah. That's going to be an interesting game. Notre Dame is 25th in the 22nd in the country.
21, yeah. But looking ahead to this weekend, Ed, I know we'll wrap up. We've kind of been going a little over an hour, but to me, I feel like this game against San Jose State is very winnable. San Jose State really hasn't looked like the juggernaut that it has in the past. They've definitely taken their licks this year. But this is a confident Lobo team that is kind of carrying the personality of their head coach. And it's like next matchup, they're not looking past San Jose State. So what are you looking forward to this week? And how do you think the Lobos are going to fare in
they've got a very good – I think San Jose State, we interviewed their head coach. I can never pronounce his last name, but he was real accessible to us when in Las Vegas. And they expected them to, come out of the gates – with their offense. Their coach has been offensive. I was at Navy for a long time, and he comes with a lot of a big resume, man. And so they haven't had the start to the season that they want. They're looking to turn it around. They're facing a New Mexico team that's 3-1 and probably not where a little have more wins than people probably would have thought. Nobody would expect them to beat UCLA. So I think it's another opportunity for Coach Eck and the Lobos to get another victory, and on the road. It's important to win on the road too. And so they beat UCLA in the Rose Bowl. So I think it's very possible. It's a very, like Michael Scarlett said, very winnable game on Friday night. Very winnable.
Yeah, just a quick snapshot of the resume for San Jose State. They lost their season opener, a tough one, a nail biter at home to Central Michigan, 16-14. This week 2, they traveled to number 7 Texas and got blown out, which is I don't know, kind of a questionable Texas team this year, kind of not like years past. A lot with Arch Manning, obviously all the publicity there, but they ended up taking down FCS Idaho, which was Coach X's last team. They took them down 31-28, and then this last weekend they lost to Stanford, which hasn't been good the last 2 years. I know they struggled. Stanford ended up losing to Hawaii earlier this season, week 1, at Hawaii, which I saw they don't have a ton of weapons. They have one really good running back, but yeah, man, I'm a little bullish on the Lobos heading into this weekend. They're an underdog according to Vegas. They're a 2.5 point underdog, but I think a lot of people might try to take the points there. I know I probably would, but that's just me. But Ed, any last thoughts on the show tonight, on the guest, on the UNM, the Rio Grande rivalry, the sold out stadium, and just kind of the overall execution of the weekend?
You know what? I think I'm so glad. Like I said, I was able to see that with my wife. We had a great time. Anytime, you mentioned the Rio Grande rivalry, and I thought Lamar Jordan did a great job of selling that when he was on the show. It just the way he talked about it. There wasn't an empty seat. There was a butt in every seat, he said, and there sure was on Saturday. So he got me hyped up talking about it. And I'm glad New Mexico, was able to come away with a big win. But I kind of wanted to talk about Wednesday if we could. We're supposed to have a guy from Highland High School for Huddle Up, rushed for 362 yards and 4 touchdowns against Valley. So hopefully we get him on. And then I think you, Nick, and myself, we're going to talk about Lobo basketball practice, which we're going to watch tomorrow for about half an hour. And then Coach Olin is going across the street for after Coach Eck talks. Coach Olin will be talking. So I'm looking forward to watching my 30 minutes tomorrow. I even canceled the sports desk tomorrow to watch that. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think that's something we had planned for Wednesday.
Yeah, we can cover a little bit out on Wednesday night, and then hopefully Nick will join. But yeah, tune in Wednesday night. You guys will get Road to the Pit. I'm sorry, Huddle Up with Ed and Nick Nunez. But for tonight's show, thank you for everyone tuning in. All your comments, all to our guest Michael Scarlett. Man, I really love when we get all those ex-athletes and former Lobos on the show, just to kind of hear the unique stories that they have about playing at UNM. But again, thanks for everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you guys. Check out the website at www.pitpressnm.com. We have some coverage from this weekend's game, some previews and recaps. Ryan and Greg Archuleta have contributed a lot there. So that's it for me. We appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys have a good rest of the night, and go Lobos.